All I do is analyze history. I analyze events. All right, guys, Black Handprint Mafia. Got a really great show planned for everybody today. This was a last minute decision. I've never done a live show, so please, um, you know, uh, bear with us. And I will say this: I would ask that if we have technology problems all the time, so and that's just the nature of having the internet. So if for some reason we are disconnected, stay on. We'll log back in, and so stick around. Now, why are we here today for? Today we're here because I want to discuss really the guy who built this genre. Okay, so um, today's the 20th anniversary of the death of John Gotti. All right, and I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone last night, and one of the things he said is, he said, "Man, since 1985 until present time, uh, this guy is still, his presence is still being felt. Like, and we always call this the mob genre. Mob genre. You hear that all the time. The mob genre. All these new channels coming out. A lot of people are making careers for themselves. But the truth of the matter is, this should be called the Gotti genre, because if you even tried to have a uh, uh, career talking about the history of the mob, and you said to yourself, "I am not going to discuss John Gotti," you won't have, you won't be a part of this genre. So when I talked to a friend of mine and we were going through all this, I looked up today, and I mean, there were so many books that are published using the Gotti name. I couldn't even write them all down. I mean, I have pages full of books that are just that have the Gotti name in them. Dozens and dozens of books with the Gotti name. Um, Films and television. There are tons of films, tons of documentaries and things that are dedicated to John Gotti. You have rappers and musicians that use the name Gotti to add some credibility to their gangster persona, right? The most interesting thing is when I was looking up apparel, right? So there, if you can look all over the internet, Amazon, they got t-shirts, hoodies, pants, posters, females clothing, bobblehead dolls. I found CDs where musicians made designed their entire CD with Gotti imagery. Um, Stickers, coffee mugs, license plates. There's even someone on selling, I believe, right now on eBay, a lighter that John Gotti used to use, and for $3,000. Okay. You got newspaper articles, old newspaper articles that the Daily News, Time Magazine article. I mean, these old newspaper articles are being sold for hundreds of dollars. Okay. Um, there's auctions of some of Gotti's material that's online right now for $10,000. Okay. Sammy the Bull, right, made an entire career on talking about John Gotti. There are 76 million YouTube views just on Sammy the Bull's channel alone. John Alite, another one. There's over 10 million views on his channel alone, not counting appearances, not counting books that they have made. So they are paying their bills, supporting themselves off of the Gotti name. Okay. Um, and so, and then when you even think about how much mob content is out there that doesn't even give credit to Gotti, but they use the audience that Gotti created. These like Sopranos series and Goodfellas and these films, that interest that these big Hollywood production companies are selling to is a Gotti created audience. Truthfully speaking, this family should be billionaires if you really think about all the money that's being generated with their last name. Now, I'm not going to get into too much because I don't want to belabor the point. I have a great guest for you guys today. It's a great honor for me to have this man to appear for my first live show ever. I used to always tell people I'm going to wait till I get a great guest before I ever do a live show. This man is a very much a gentleman to me. He's been a friend to me. He's been kind to me. He's been giving. And I really appreciate having him here. So I'm going to bring him in here now. Michael DiLeonardo, how are you, sir?
Good evening. What's happening, RJ?
Oh, man.
Good lead up. I don't know what to say anymore. You covered a lot.
Well, I'll tell you, last night when you called me, I didn't even know today was the 20th anniversary of his passing until you told me. But I'm just curious, like, what's this to you? Like, I know that even when Gotti had passed on and you were still on the streets, and even when Gotti was still behind bars, you always used to celebrate. From my understanding, there was some type of discussion among you and your friends and things about Gotti.
Well, I'll put myself in past tense at this time. When John went to prison, his son, friends of ours, we'd go to dinner and we'd have a couple of drinks, of course. And the first drink would always be to toast his father in prison and our chief. We say, here's to the chief. Usually a martini his son would have would be gin in honor of his father. I'm a vodka guy, so I passed on the gin. I have a martini in front of me. At the end of this segment, I'll toast John. John was a character that mislabeled a lot. John had his goods, his bads, but make no mistake, he was never indifferent. This guy let you know how he felt at all times, unless he was playing a little Machiavelli. But John wore his emotion on his sleeve at times with people he liked. If he didn't like you, a little different. You found out different ways. But if you go back to 1985, the mob, all the families, just about everybody knew or heard of John Gotti. That's where it was limited. The day that Paul was killed, 37 years ago, he became a public figure, and a figure that resonates, as you articulated earlier, till today. John's dead 20 years today. And as you said, people are still invoking his name, let's call his brand, right? Let's call he is a brand because everybody stamps it and earns a living. There's so many people, legitimate, former street people, that earn a living from him and should be very thankful, whether they hate him, like what he did, didn't like what he did, whatever it is. Everybody is earning a living from John Gotti after death, posthumously, I should say. So I think we owed something. I think the world of the mob genre owes him something, not the public. He was a criminal. But we're not here to talk about that today. Today's just to recognize him of the guy he was, the impact he left on the people that are interested in this genre. Again, better or worse, right or wrong, that they follow it. But the interest is there. It's been interest since Jesse James and Frank James and the Dalton Gang and Bonnie and Clyde. There's always an interest in crime. Al Capone, Lucky Luciano in this genre. John Gotti. There's been many other bosses. Many other bosses have died in prison. This guy was built up by the press and taken down by the government and the press. So the guy was my friend. Let me go back to what I said. I start back then when he was my friend, when he was alive, until he died. He was my brother. I respected him. Didn't agree with everything, like anybody else in life. When you're married, you don't agree with everything that goes on. But John, if he smiled, he had a tremendous smile. Everybody just relaxed. He had it. He walked in a room, he filled the room. Tongue-in-cheek statement, not with him. There's been other people, but nobody like John. Everybody knew what and who he was and didn't let anybody forget it. And you can look up to a man like that when you're in that life, and you would follow him, as others did. Some may have said some things negatively about him, but that's okay. It's like anything else. But he did leave the impact. And that's what I'm here to say is that he was my friend. He was my brother. And I remember the good in John today. I remember all the good in John. Like I said, his son and I were extremely close. We were brothers. And I know how much he loved his father. That's for sure. And really suffered. Junior suffered watching his father suffer in prison. So I'm here to have a toast for John. And hopefully in the future we could talk a little bit more about him. I just wanted to make this a little short and give him some notice because he deserved it for who and what he was.
If I could ask you a question before we take this toast, because one of the things that, and I don't make an effort on my channel. If you look at my channel, I never take negative positions on people. I always try to look for the best in everything. And but a lot of the stuff when people talk about John Gotti, they always talk about the gangster. They always talk about him as this person had, the street side of things. But the man side of John Gotti, the guy, and I know me and you talked before, and you had shared with me that things just, I ain't gonna get into deep detail, but you shared very deep, profound things with me about the caring side of him, the gentleman side of him, the way he treated people, the way he cared if something, if you were going through something, he cared about your family. So if I could just ask you, if someone asked you, what kind of man was he? What kind of person was he?
Well, if John cared about you or knew you had something wrong in your family and you showed up to say hello, and God forbid somebody had cancer or some kind of illness, John would get into it, ask you about doctors, offer sympathies, of course, and any way he could help you. And to me, I see it as he was truly concerned when he asked those questions. It wasn't just a bloviating, stand on, let me ask this guy a question and keep it moving. It looked like he was very concerned about that person in their situation. If he liked you, if he let you in his world. John was extremely witty. He was a super intelligent man. I don't go along with all this buffoon and all this other stuff. They have no clue. The guy was super intelligent. And I'll talk about John's personality as I seen him. That's not going to make me right. I'm just going to give you my observations in the future. If we do this again.
Yeah.
John was, like I said, extremely witty. His wittiest, sometimes you would scratch your head and you say, oh my God, who's he aiming at? Because sometimes it could be, in a funny way, he could be very mad, but in other ways, he could be very funny. And he was, like I said, he was a super intelligent man in my eyes, in my view. And when he cared about you.
Well, I would say for me, some of the things that, Michael, you catch hell in this genre if you from outsiders, even my publishers who I work with, like people who don't understand how someone can have an interest in this. But I look at what can be learned from, there's a lot that you can learn from John Gotti. For me personally, if you just look at his conviction to the things he believed in, he had a fearless approach to life, no matter what he was going through. I saw pictures of him. I saw footage of him walking out of a courthouse with handcuffs on, or being arrested with handcuffs on. He's smiling and, doing the, he still had his charm, still had his charisma, still had his confidence with handcuffs on, going in to face 100 years. To me, I look at that as that's how we should all face life's problems. The problems are going to come. If you're living in this life, I don't care what you're doing. You can be a bus driver and a school teacher. If you're living in this life, some problems are going to come, and you got to face them with a smile. You gotta keep your confidence. You got to maintain your dignity. You got to keep on going. And to me, that's what he always represented to me. It don't matter what I'm going through. I ain't gonna lose my soul. I ain't gonna lose my dignity. I'm gonna retain who I am, and I'm gonna keep a smile on my face.
Well, John would never show a kink in his armor. That's for sure. Yeah. John knew when he got into the life, like just about all of us, it should be, that there's certain ends, and one could be death, one could be in prison for life, one could be in prison for a little while. There's ups and downs, and John knew this going in, and John would always say, wise guys should never be married. What are we getting married for? Only going to bring grief about our families. I was 100% right. It's the collateral damage. Again, we saved this for another time.
Okay.
Get into that, all of that. But his impact is what we're here for today, and what he's done to help people along in their careers. People are making careers, as you articulated earlier about John Gotti. And, a lot of people follow John Gotti, even though some things were off gray color and whatever in his life, and what went on in the street. But he was a person you wanted to follow. He gave you that motivation. He gave you that fire in your belly. John would compliment you. You come in nice. John he had nothing wrong with his kid. If you were a good looking guy, you dressed nice, you say, hey, guy, sharp guy, this, that. He wasn't insecure. He was comfortable with his kid, that man. So, like I said, I'm going to have a toast for John. And I did go to visit him in St. John's a while back. I got a picture. I don't know if it was appropriate or not to post it in St. John's Cemetery. I'll leave that to maybe I get some feedback from Brother John Jr. If he would want me to post that, I will. But again, I'm going to make this toast to John Gotti. Salute, brother. I hope you're resting in peace and have found peace. Cheers. Jay, I'm going to leave all of you because I know you're going to talk some more after I'm gone.
No, I'm not. I'm signing off for
today. This is too quick. You got to entertain these people a little bit more.
You know what? I'll go through some of their. I'll go through some of their comments and questions, and I'll let you sign off. And Michael, I'm looking forward to working with you. It's going to be one of the great honors of my life. And I know that you could have worked with anybody. And the fact that out of all, and I know that because you put me in touch with some of the top researchers and historians around this country. And I know we made an announcement just a few days ago that we're going to, do a series of discussions together. So of all the people that you could have chose to have these discussions with, I just want you to know it's an honor for me, and I'm grateful, and I'm always appreciative for you giving me the opportunity to work with you. I think we're going to do some really great stuff together, and I just want you to know I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Of course. If we could put anything in proper history that's 100 years or more, we have the people who did some tremendous research. If anybody's interested in that stuff, we can have them on and document stuff. And where we don't know, we won't say. Where we know, we'll say. But I got to ask you a question. You got all dead people behind you on the wall. You got nobody alive. Anybody alive back there?
My daughter.
Oh, you see that one. Sorry. Your head's in the way.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to go watch Two Sicilians right now.
Okay.
I see a question mark on your face.
Two Sicilians.
Two Sicilians. Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo. They're playing Yankees.
Oh.
Joey Gallo was his family was originally from 18th Avenue, Bensonhurst.
Okay. All right.
Huge Yankee fans. And so was John Cena, by the way, like that little icon you put in the corner. I don't know if everybody can see that. I sent that to John at his wake. The Yankees. He was a big Yankee fan. So was I. And we talked a lot of baseball. The guy was brilliant in all sports. He knew the color of college jerseys, the teams, what color their jerseys were. Anyway, I'll let you go. Have a great night.
Hey, Michael, I'll touch base with you. I'll give you a call tonight or tomorrow. Thank you for coming on, Michael. This is my first live I ever did. Thank you, brother. And I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to many discussions that we'll have down the road. But thank you for giving my audience your presence. They've been asking for you forever. So thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I'll take a look at some questions here, but I'm going to sign you out of here, brother.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, take care, Michael. Yep.